Cuando hablamos de proof of stake dentro del mundo cripto, existen terminologías y aspectos que pueden confundir a las personas que comienzan a involucrarse con el espacio. A veces esta confusión hace que las personas se alejen de cadenas utilizando proof of stake y se queden usando cadenas proof of work. El día de hoy, Gisele Schout nos habla sobre su trabajo con staking, un validador en varios ecosistemas, para aclarar estas preguntas y remover estas barreras. Ok, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos todos. Eh, Muchísimas gracias por venir a este espacio. Said, bienvenido.
Gracias.
Giselle, bienvenida.
Gracias.
Entonces, bueno, vamos a ir directo a lo que venimos. Eh, por favor, cuéntanos un poco de Giselle y cómo es que llega a la industria en cripto y luego específicamente a staking. ¿Y cuál es tu background?
Ok. Well. Buenas, yo soy Giselle, soy de Holanda y tengo 3 años en el blockchain espacio con staking
Ok,
y sí, como head of marketing.
Head of Marketing.
Y antes yo soy un writer, blog writer.
Ok, blog writer.
Y
Ok, perfecto.
sí, y es que a mí me gusta mucho el blockchain espacio por la innovación.
Ok,
Y antes blockchain, yo trabajo en cloud services,
ok,
en
ok.
SaaS. Y vas a leer mucho de blockchain y hay un curso de Estados Unidos. Y un día yo estoy en Colombia practicando mi español, si no es
Ok.
tan bueno. y Edward, el tío de este, que llamara a mí como necesita ayuda de escribir por el blockchain espacio, ¿quieres trabajar con nosotros? Y así está. Y 3 años have passed. So,
Muy
sí.
bien, muy bien. Qué rápido vuela el tiempo. Ok, perfecto. ¿Y nos podrías hablar un poco acerca de tu historia con staking y cómo surgió y cómo fueron los primeros pasos?
All right, I'll just do it in English. So we started off just working for the TSAS space.
Ok,
So Edward and Tiago are founders. They were just active as like delegators, just interested in the space, and then they just really found that actually the current validators on Tezos were not that great.
ok,
So they just had some trouble finding like a validator that really worked for them, and they decided, you know what? Why don't we just do it ourselves? We can probably do it better.
ok.
So that's how we got started, and more people joined the node. And now we have 23 networks, and it really has grown really fast. It's been only 2.5 years, so we're very happy that it grows that fast. But it's been very organically, and we only do the networks that we have a genuine interest in.
Ok,
So that's very important to us. We are not just focused only on a commercial idea. We really want everyone to know that, because we really do that investigation. We do the due diligence to find out, like, is this network a long-term profitable but also solid concept, and do we
exactly.
want to be a part of it? And if the answer is yes, then we add it to our collection, so to say.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, like we always tell people that they should do your own research, and I think that that's especially
Definitely.
important whenever you're running a validator or like whenever you're getting into more complex aspects of blockchain. So that's really good. So everyone, please, as Giselle said, do your own research. And Giselle, before we go any further, can you please explain what a validator is and what
Ooh.
function it accomplishes in a blockchain, and what is proof of stake? Because there's a lot of people that still don't understand these concepts. So if you could help them understand, it would be really helpful.
All right. So obviously we have proof of work, which is Bitcoin. And
Correct.
then proof of stake is a derivative from that. And the biggest difference is that where with Bitcoin, you need the miners to constantly solve these insane puzzles in order for the blockchain to keep running.
Hmm.
With proof of stake, this is done through validators and through node operators. So instead of having to do all these super complicated tests, I mean, it's still technical. Don't get me wrong, but it's not at the same level. And so yeah, so the validators of proof of stake and the people that stake, so the people that basically invest or lock their tokens into the network for a longer period of time, they help to secure that network. They help to guide the network in the right directions. And through the validators who operate the nodes, so who make sure that all the blockchain nodes keep running, we together as this unit of three make sure that the network runs and it runs smoothly. So that's
Okay.
also why it's very important when you are looking into this, to make sure that you select validators that have a good uptime, which means that they're not late on keeping up to date with the node tech, that they keep everything running smoothly, because that means that the more high end validators and the better the validators do the job, and the more people stake with them, the better the chain also runs in a nutshell.
Exactly. And so, Giselle, what factors and parameters do you use to choose, like when mounting a validator on a blockchain?
Right. So, like I said earlier, the first thing would be the uptime.
Yeah.
This is very important. Second, I think it's very important when you're looking for a validator. You want to make sure that the team is not anonymous
Okay.
and it's very solid. So you have to really, go to the website, find out
Hmm.
who's behind that, who's running the validator, what is their like early experience, sniff on their LinkedIn's, really do a lot of research. It's very important. And then after that, you want to look into things as like, are they invested in joining new networks or testing out networks? Do they work on test nets? Are they just part of like the big chains and that's it, or do they really try to evolve this space? And
Exactly.
of course, oh yeah, of course, for me, something that's personally really important is how are they training their customers and the people that really stake with them. So kind of just go into the community. Is it easy to ask questions? Is it easy to get in touch? Because especially in blockchain, things happen really fast. So if you do have issues, you want to make sure that someone is there of the validators to get in touch with quite fast, so that you can jump on the problem, you know, before it turns
Exactly.
out to be insanely crazy.
Exactly.
Um, but it's also a big part of his preference. And then of course the final thing to think about is the governance. So like, how involved are they
Hmm.
with voting on the proposals? So making decisions and helping making decisions for the network. Are they explaining why they're doing certain things, or why they're not voting, or why they are voting? Do they have a clear vision for the things that they do? I think that's very important. But like I said, if you're someone that's really just looking for like a great staking return, you probably just want to look at like, okay, how much do I have to pay them? Like what's the fee, etc. What's the return? Obviously, these are important things, but from a more idealistic perspective, I think those
Yeah.
are the main things to think about.
And
Absolutely.
that is interesting. I never thought about the communication line, the communication factor. Like I select my
Hmm.
validators and I see, for example, if they are being actively participating on governance proposals,
Yeah.
and if their Twitter or their social media is trying to at least say what is their position in every other proposal, or if they don't have any position, whatever it is, like they have at least somewhere that you can know what is their position in one or the
Mm-hmm.
other proposals. But I never thought about having to talk to them and that line of communication, if they are available, if they are non-anons. I've never used that as a factor to decide
Yeah.
for a validator. But I think it's a really good point. Like at
Yeah,
least
I
I think
mean,
I learned a thing or two about that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you look at like, for example, the bigger exchanges, like the central exchanges, they also run their nodes and they're also a validator. But are they really, are they really trying to progress that network, and are
Exactly.
they really trying to help the network itself? Mm. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
saying like no, they are not completely, but they're probably less involved than some of the companies that are really set up just for this and not just to harken lots and lots and lots of networks, so to say.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I was just listening to a podcast this morning, and they were just pretty much describing like how much we've adhered to the values of
Hmm.
crypto in general over the past few years, specifically over the last 2 to 3 years. But all these ideas that were like initiated with all the founders, if you can call them, of all these different ecosystems, and all these big players, like you're saying, that are involved in the space, how
Yeah.
invested are they really in the long term uh, possibilities that are going to offer their customers? Because if not, and if we're not really familiarizing ourselves with our validators and all these things, we can really get lost as towards
Hmm.
what we're trying to accomplish with all the things that we're doing, like passing all these proposals and funding all these projects. Like you said, it's there's many things that are more important than just what's the commission going to be that I should pay this validator to get my rewards back. So it's great to hear someone talking about all these things. Okay,
Yeah,
and
Yeah, because
definitely.
when you're new
mhm,
to proof of stake, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's say this is your first coin that you're going to be staking, and then
mhm,
try to participate in some proposals. And whenever you're going to stake for the first time, and you see that in the community, everybody is like, "Hey, what validator should I select?" And it's like they are lost. They don't know to
exactly.
which validator to go into. They want someone to just recommend the validator, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
if someone tells you, "Hey, go and stake with staking," and that's it. Like they don't. It's
Yeah. And I
not.
think,
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, actually, like, please do come stay with Taken, but also don't just choose one.
Exactly.
Choose a couple. Like, it's not about, you can only pick one validator on a chain and you have to stick with them. Like, feel free to choose 10 if you want. If anything, it's only beneficial for the network and it's only beneficial for the community to do so. So, spread it out. It's all good. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think there was a proposal from these past days about a flat reward system for the validator. So people would like try to select the validators with less staking
Mm-hmm.
amount because they would, I don't know, maybe receive more rewards from them. I don't know. I saw it in, I don't remember where, but that the community is actively looking for ways to decentralize everything, and also the how much staking amount are in the validators. And if you have 150, 200 validators participating, why is it that the top three have like 80%? So yeah, try
Yeah,
to
exactly.
decentralize that also, because then those three are going to be making the decisions all along. The other ones are not going to be very effective on their voting. So
Yeah,
we should do that and not just select one, uh, but two, three, four, five, even how many you would like. Yeah,
exactly. Because we can actually see, the problem with the Juno wheel. I don't know if you guys are aware of it. So there,
yeah,
on the Juno chain, there's like a really big a wheel that has, well, I think even more than the majority of tokens. So, those kind of situations, like they're just not good for the ecosystem. They're not good for the community in the long term. So it's very important to keep those things in mind when you're staking. Um, you know, just spread it out. Make sure that you also have some stake in like some smaller validators that are trying to get up, so that there's going to be more validators in the long term.
Hmm.
Really think I think it's important. I mean, when we were in this like bull economy and everything was amazing, people just kind of jumped in and didn't really pay a lot of attention. Now that the market has calmed down again, I think this is the perfect time to really look into how does proof of stake work, like how does this network work, why is it special, what's the long term benefit, instead of what can I gain from it this month. And it
Exactly.
will really help people to open up to the possibilities, but also make the space a lot more decentralized. Luckily, we have some very great guys working on that on the notes and staying up to date 24/7. But yeah, there's obviously, I would say, like infant issues here and there. But
Hmm.
that's also what makes the crypto space so interesting and attractive, in my opinion. Like there's a lot of innovation, and that comes with certain challenges on a tech perspective, but that's what makes it fun as well.
Yeah, and I like how you say it's a challenge, not a problem. We also have in the community we also have in the community one saying, and it's about whenever someone comes with a future problem, like, oh,
Mhm.
what's going to happen when this, I don't know, when I make ton of money and then I have to pay taxes for it, and we're like, that's a good problem to have.
Exactly.
Like, do not back away from that. It's just that's a good problem to have, and
Yeah.
that's going to be a challenge whenever you are there. But other than that, do not back out of that problem. Like, go for it, and then uh, see it as a challenge, as you say. But that's a cool way to say it.
Absolutely. And what would then, okay, so now that we bring up the word challenge, what would you say the biggest or some of the biggest challenges are in the validator industry? Like you already said that sometimes obviously blockchains having downtime and everything, but are there any other issues that you would say that are challenging in the validator space?
In the space itself, the decentralization,
Yeah.
I think that's the
Okay.
main thing to keep in
Okay.
mind. Like, yeah, it's hard. Like we try our best, but obviously it's a very contradictive thing. So like as a company, you want to grow and you want to do your best, and you want to like get more revenue and more people in. So it's all super exciting, but at the same time, you have to guard that. It's not going to just be a club of five, let's say, like five validators that are super big and
Hmm.
everybody else is just kind of scrambling. Like that's really not the intention neither. So it's one of the things that is definitely like a fine balance to keep.
Okay. So you've told us a little bit about the challenges you're facing right now, and obviously, I imagine that Staken wants to be present for longer than it has been. It wants to, like Giselle was saying, you want to be here for the long run. So, how do you see the validator industry evolving in, let's say, a short term of a year, medium term of 5 years, and longer term of 10 years? What do you see happening in the validator industry?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it all depends, right? So, like, how crazy do you want to get? But I think one of the more like closer things are definitely liquid staking. I'm sure that you guys have probably tried it out. Like,
Hmm.
it's a very good concept. Um, but we can also, I mean, you can stake so many things, right? Now we're doing NFT staking is coming up.
Hmm.
It's a really big thing. But for me, like what will be the most interesting is when technologies such as decentralized finance products will start to be, like available on the mainstream. And well, we really hope to be there to help make that happen. Definitely. I mean, yeah, like 10 years is a very long time, right? So especially in crypto, we were
Absolutely.
discussing this earlier as well.
That's
Like,
like 60 years in, right?
yeah, that's like saying, oh well, I don't even. I don't even dare to say that I will actually know what will happen in the next 2 months. Like,
Yeah,
so much can change so fast.
absolutely.
It's insane, but I think that's definitely like the directions that we hope that it goes in, I guess. Um, we at Staking, we're very interested in the decentralized finance space. We're not that much into other things such as meme coins and all of that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
like they're probably going to stick around and they're fun to have. But, like on the more serious long term things, I think like with staking, gamified elements and
Hmm.
staking of that probably play to earn is really coming up right now. So who knows? We have so many options. What do you guys think? What is your favorite upcoming aspect right now?
Oh my God. I think, like you said, it's just taking it one day at a time and just having to do a bunch of research because, as you said, things change so fast in this
Yeah.
space. And I'm just excited in general. Like, I've been involved in the space for a little over 2 years, and it's just amazing how all these different things that were said a couple of years ago, like I remember looking at a video of Sunny explaining how Cosmos was going to be working and like all these steps and the roadmap and everything, and just looking at how everything has come to fruition. And
Yeah.
like it's what they thought they were going to do plus more, because it's not just the main people behind Cosmos, it's people like yourselves that are all involved in the space. For me, I think just like looking at how everything is evolving is just fascinating. Like I wouldn't just choose one specific thing, I would
Mm-hmm.
choose everything in the industry.
I want it all. Yay.
Yeah, exactly. I want it all.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah. I
absolutely.
would say the same, but
Exactly.
yeah, I would say the same. But there's one thing that I don't know if it's gonna be a challenge for validators, and it's how it's gonna work
Mm-hmm.
the interchain security of Atom of Cosmos, and
Hmm.
how is that gonna affect other chains and other validators? I don't know.
Hmm.
Like I haven't read a lot about it, but I do think that there's gonna be maybe something there, a challenge, as you say, Giselle.
Yeah,
But
but we won't back down. Don't worry.
Awesome.
that's awesome.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's something that I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Awesome.
remember like a couple years ago when we were just starting, when I was just starting, we were like, "Wow, I don't know, interchain communication, that can't be
Yeah.
possible. It's just a dream. It will never happen." Like, well, I mean, it worked out well for
Yeah,
everyone.
right?
So
It has. It has.
yeah, so I'm optimistic at least.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just been the growth has been just impressive, specifically like over the last couple of years. Like the last 2 years have just been crazy for
Yeah.
how everything
Yep.
is changing and evolving, and it's really amazing how everything is evolving. And so, Giselle, I would like to ask this question to you because I know this is more of your area. Like, what marketing does a validator um, put out for the to
Yeah.
like to attract delegators? Like, what are the
Well, I
specific
mean,
challenges you face as a marketing department?
so the biggest real challenge is that we don't track data, which
Yes.
sounds, of course, very handy and it's like a good thing, but it's something that, of course, marketing is driven on. So it
Hmm.
can be very challenging to find out what our our delegators want, or what they like,
Hmm.
or what they would like to see more of. Luckily, over the years, we have been able to build up a community that's very willing to share what they like and what they want to see more of. And of course, like we have just taken the approach of just asking,
Okay.
but that's definitely one of the main, well, challenges.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what definitely one of them. And then what we try to do and what we aim to do for retail users, so people like you and me, basically, for anyone that's not aware of what that means. We try to really educate, go in detail about what makes this network special. Why did we choose them? What will happen in the future? What are their assets? Um, Even how to stake. Like, we have a bunch of guides. We try to make
Hmm.
video content, podcasts, all of that highlighting why and how.
Hmm.
just to make it very accessible and easy. I think one of the issues with blockchain definitely is the accessibility. Like, yeah, everyone's welcome, but it's a very big barrier, especially for people that are new to the space.
Hmm.
When you enter a community and it's just so much information and also wrong information, unfortunately. So we really try to be there as a solid, truthful, and also, well, more like general voice. So like we try
Yeah.
not to push our opinions. We try to keep that very low profile,
Yeah.
just because it's important to know the difference between networks. But just because two networks, let's say like the Polkadot ecosystem and Cosmos ecosystem, just because they're different doesn't necessarily mean that one of them is better,
Hmm.
right? It
Exactly.
just depends on what's your preference and what you're looking for.
Hmm.
So we try to make that very clear, and we try to really illuminate the difference in ecosystems, etc. And yeah, from a more bigger approach, we are trying to get more out there. So show the faces behind the company, be just be there for everyone. And in terms of, yeah, what we do, I mean, we also do more like, I would say, like normal things.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
like, we have some ads running, we do partnerships, we try to do collaborations that will show staking to a broader audience, of course. So those kind of things we also do.
Yeah.
However, I'm a really big fan of organic growth. So I try. We don't really do a lot of growth hacking, or, well, the ads and stuff. We try to keep that to a really small minimum, so that we don't really have any strange numbers, or, oh, look, everyone, our Twitter has 1 billion followers. It's so
Yeah.
amazing. Like, that's not really our goal here. We just want to be a truthful and genuine source of information. And with that, we hope that people appreciate that, and therefore trust us with their assets as well. Well, actually, we don't hold them, so that's a important thing to say. We're non-custodial, but yeah, that's the direction we go in.
We've already talked about this a little bit, and I think your stance on like all these challenges are pretty clear. But
Hmm.
how is Staken differentiating itself from big validators like exchanges like Binance, Huobi, between like other exchanges, and what's the biggest challenge you see regarding centralization in this aspect when it comes to validating?
Um. Okay. A politically correct answer, right? Like,
Yeah.
it has to validate. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. So like, what sets us apart from exchanges, and therefore validators such as Binance, is that, well, first of all, we are non-custodial. So that means, for anyone that's wondering, it means that we don't hold your assets. You will still be in control of them, and sometimes they're locked on the blockchain, but we don't have them. So that's a very important thing, which means, if an exchange get hacked and your assets are with them, then you might be in trouble. Luckily, we don't have that kind of problems, which is also for us a relief. Don't get me wrong. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's also the level of involvement, the amount of networks that they have, that they need to take care of, that they need to engage with,
Hmm.
which leaves not a lot of space for smaller networks, not a lot of space for innovation. Um, and even, I mean, if you look at some of the bigger exchanges, we all know that there's crazy amounts of money going around in there just for even being on there. So we don't charge the networks anything for us to validate on them. That's not how it works. We try to be really involved with the network from the beginning. So whenever we jump on a test net, we try to give constructive feedback, join huddles, all that kind of stuff, to be really involved and make a difference and help them out wherever we can. So that's one of the things that we value. And I, unfortunately, I mean, there might be exceptions. Don't get me wrong, but in general, that's one of the biggest differences between us and one more of the bigger players, as centralized exchanges and stuff. And then, well, compared to other validators, we're actually it's quite funny. So they're like our competition, but also our friends.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's a very open community. It's a lot of fun, and everyone tries to focus on some aspects, but we all share thoughts quite regularly. So it's a nice space to be in, and yeah, one of the bigger thing that we focus on is retail education, whereas some of the other validators are more into how do you say this, like bigger companies and bigger amounts
Hmm.
to be staked at once, which is also a great way to do about it. We try to have this balance of retail and institutional, and yeah, we really try to stand out with education and having
Okay.
this solid voice. That's really our aim. And yeah, so far, luckily, I can say, I mean, I'm still here
Hey,
after 3 years, so it's going pretty well. Like we can't complain.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Like you said, I think it's a really open and helpful ecosystem in the sense that everyone wants to grow together.
Yeah,
Like I think that's one thing I've had in the Cosmos ecosystem for the longest time, and in other ecosystems as well. But it's just people are just they just want to see other people succeed, and they understand that the more these other protocols and validators and all these things grow, the better it is for the adoption of this technology, which is I think why we're all involved in this space. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a great take.
and it reminds me of something that Crypto said to us in
Exactly.
one of our podcasts,
Hmm.
that we are not here trying to outcompete the competition. We're here to out collaborate with our competition.
exactly.
So we, yeah, and you can see that
Yeah,
at least someone like him, and there's a ton of others in the ecosystem, that they will prefer to collaborate first instead of compete first, because the pie is very large. We can, instead of fighting for one part of the pie, you can just go and try another part that is yet to be discovered. So it is a very large community, and but a larger opportunity for the whole community to be collaborating with each other and reach new heights as a community, instead of just fighting for whatever it is out there right now.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the more the merrier, right? Like the more people are
Exactly.
in this space, the more there's to share around. So at
Yep.
the end of the day, that's the real goal.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for our last question, I would like to ask, which projects do you consider right now are the most decentralized?
Oh, well, let me check what I have written down. No, just kidding.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a hard one. This question definitely.
Absolutely.
It's a
And
challenge.
It's a challenge.
yes,
Yeah.
it is. And unfortunately, like I would want to say, well, all the networks are super decentralized and it's amazing. Fortunately, we're not there yet, but we are working at it, right? So I think the Cosmos ecosystem in general is, getting there and doing a really good job in promoting the decentralization. Um, but unfortunately, some of the networks, such as Kava, do have really concentrated top 10, and the same with networks such as Kronos. Unfortunately, one of the ones I believe that has a lower decentralization is the Polkadot ecosystem, um, which is good. And we're quite big on Polygon, and we try to
Hmm.
um, you know push people to accept more other validators as well. So we are it's very centralized still, which is honestly a little bit disappointing, I guess, from like my personal point of view.
Hmm.
I wish that While a lot of networks are really trying and doing their best, it's human nature, and it's a habit that we have, that like we try to cling with the bigger group. We don't want to be an outcast, even in a space full of outcasts. We still want to fit in, and this is what makes it so hard. Like, we try our very best to make this clear to people, like, hey, you need to focus on decentralization. You need to make sure that you don't just pick us. You have to pick like 5 or 6 other validators as well. So we're trying, and I can see a really big change from the Cosmos ecosystem, from some of the other networks that we work with, where they're really trying to promote it, and other validators are trying to promote it. So we're getting there.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I think the majority of the current networks that we're on are still, hanging towards that top 10, having around 70-60% of the voting power, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you it was different. That was definitely like my goal, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
would not be the truth. So, you know.
Understood. Yeah, it's what when I one of the first projects I got involved with was actually Polygon, and I remember that back then, this whole process they had of switching validators, that they had people switching from the foundation notes, I believe, and they were
Yeah.
pushing people to like exactly how you're saying, to adopt other validators. Like, I think that's definitely true for most ecosystems, that they put up like these players that have a little bit more control over the space. But as time
Mm-hmm.
progresses, that's definitely something I think we've seen, like more and more validators adding on, and people are really interested in learning about all these different players to understand how to interact with them. And I think that what you're doing, like Staken in general, trying to educate people and helping them have a better understanding of the space in general, but also helping them adopt all these other validators. Because, like you said, at the end of the day, the more validators there are and everything, the more it pushes for decentralization. So I think
Yeah,
that was a very
definitely.
nice.
Well, and
Absolutely.
I can actually confirm, like, recently we had a chat with the governance people of Polygon,
Hmm.
and it's definitely something that's on top of their agenda as well. So,
Hmm.
you know, everyone, just keep some hope. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
get there, people.
definitely. It will happen. We just need to be patient, and I think it's also important to remember that this technology, like, even though it's been around for a while, the more defined chains and the more worked out ideas are quite young. So we need
Totally.
to figure out what's the best way to move forward. But together we can do
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yep.
it.
Well, I just want to thank you for spending some time with
Hmm.
us. And again, just keep up the good work, keep innovating,
Yeah.
keep educating, keep doing all the amazing work you're doing. And again, thank you so much for bringing clarity to the space and helping us help other people understand how a validator works.
Thanks, you too, guys.
Ciao.